Am I on the clock? Okay. Good. That's the first good news I've heard. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be with you here tonight. It really is a privilege to stand before friends, mentors, people that I've looked up to for a long, long time, both as a collegiate player and now as a coach in my 13th year at Stanford. Never in a million years, when I was a rookie coach in 2004, accepting the Hall of Fame honor on behalf of Coach Eddie Twiggs from Stanford, did I think that I'd ever be up here accepting the award as well, 13 years later. It is a huge honor for me being the fourth Stanford coach to go into the Hall of Fame. Eddie Twiggs, legendary record, Bud Finger, my mentor, and the best coach I've ever had, Wally Goodwin, and now myself. So it's neat to be part of that group, and needless to say, as someone that holds those people in high esteem, it is quite nerve-wracking. I do, though, quickly go to a story that I've always kept near and dear when I get moments like this, when the heart's beating a little too much and the palms are sweaty. In 2005, after 12 tries of trying to qualify for the U.S. Open, my first year in the coaching ranks was in the books. I qualified to play in the U.S. Open. And the team had made its first appearance at Nationals in 5 or 6 years. It was a big deal for our program. And all of a sudden, I somehow made a few putts and snaked it around in regional qualifying, sectional qualifying to get in the Open. Tiger was at his height, my former teammate, a guy that obviously we all as golfers held in high regard. And so innocently, I sent him a text on Sunday night as I was making my way to Pinehurst. Within seconds, I get a reply, no, congratulations, coach, it's neat you've made it. No pleasantries other than be on the first tee at 7 a.m. and don't be late. So needless to say, my most nerves that I've ever felt in my life was actually playing a 7 a.m. practice round on a Monday. I turned up on the tee, Tiger Woods was there waiting for me. 2,000 people waiting there to see this shot go down. And, here I am, I'm just a coach now, right? We all know how that feeling is. I couldn't make a swallow, I couldn't breathe, I was as white as a ghost. And to this day, I owe him a huge favor because he walked over and he grabbed me by the shirt, literally, and he looked me in the eye and he said, look at all these people. I just want you to stop a second. They are all here to cheer for me and root me on. They don't know who the hell you are. So there's no reason to be nervous. So that frames, I think, this moment perfectly. I'm up here in front of a bunch of people that I really, truly, dearly respect, and I'm keeping that in mind because as much as I get to have the mic tonight for a few minutes, it's about this room, it's about college golf, it's about coaches that I really appreciate. I want to spend a minute just to talk to you a little bit about why I think I'm up here. I think this award is a reflection of great people that I've been surrounded by my whole life. I grew up in a little small town in southern Minnesota. My golf season was literally 3 months. If you didn't play 3 sports in Austin, Minnesota, you were in the minority. I never dreamt of coaching college golf, nor even playing at a Division I level. For me, golf was always something that I enjoyed doing with my dad, tagging along and goofing off with my buddies. But I think along the way, as I played all these different sports and did different things in town, I was lucky because I was really exposed to some amazing coaches along the way. Some of them taught me lessons in coaching that I use today. It's important to be direct and succinct and be clear, even if the news you want to share isn't what you're always wanting to say or it's super rosy. I remember my high school football coach, an amazing guy, Randy Smith, who played Division I football. I played nose guard, and after a couple of good years in high school, that was really my sport. My dream was to play college football for Lou Holtz and Notre Dame. And wow, that's a shocker, right? You grow up in a small town in the Midwest in a Catholic family, like Bill Domers, right? But Coach Smith, in the style he had, he was pretty gruff. He pulled me in his office someday, and I said, Coach, I really think I want to pursue college football. He He said, Conrad, that's pretty good. You have some skill, but I want to break some news to you. You run in one place too long. And with that, I got the picture. So quickly, my interest turned to writing some letters out in golf. I had always enjoyed playing, and I had a couple good seasons of junior golf way before the HAGA reached Minnesota. And with that, I sent out letters. A couple funny stories. Coach John Means, a fellow Hall of Famer, a longtime friend. This is another lesson I've learned with one of those great coaches along the way. Coach Means had me up for an unofficial visit. It was mid-December. It was, being a fellow Minnesotan, 55, one of those really kind of crazy winter days where you might get a warm snap and then the freeze hits. There was a fellow junior golfer there from, I believe from Sweden, and by the end of the weekend, Coach Means had this guy convinced that 55 was as cold as it got in Minneapolis in December. So, Coach, thank you for that. I appreciate that lesson. Salesmanship is part of this job, no question. I think about another great coach that I had, and I mentioned earlier, Coach Goodwin. Wally and Nan send their very best. They were actually planning on making the trip to Las Vegas tonight to be with us all and my crew, both in their 90s. Coach is as passionate about college golf as he ever was. Nan is struggling with her walking a little bit, so they felt like the Las Vegas airport was more than they could handle. But he wanted me to pass along his very best. But I think of a guy that gave me as a player and a junior golfer a chance I really probably didn't deserve. He was a genius, but he really didn't make out to be one. I look back now in my coaching and I think about how this guy combined players from different backgrounds, different attitudes, and he had this knack of bringing a bunch of guys together with a common goal and creating championship teams. A couple of my former players that I wanted to recognize that were part of those teams, Jerry Chang and Brad Lanning, two dear friends, both instrumental in my golf life and huge supporters of Stanford golf and all that we're doing today. I think it's pretty amazing that most of the guys on the team that I played for in those days are still somehow either very good amateur players or involved in college golf or around golf in some way. Casey Martin, Steve Burdick, obviously Tiger, to name a few. I think that's a testament to Coach Goodwin and all that he did. But I tell you what, as I mentioned, he had this knack of finding players that were off the grid a bit. You had a guy that had a leg problem from Eugene, Oregon. You had a first-generation Japanese-American transfer from Irvine and Will Yanagisawa. You had a guy named Nota Begay off the reservation in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the team now even jokes to me this day, you had this guy, this nose guard from Austin, Minnesota. And there's a story that is always told that I think is a funny one about Coach. He used to come to practice and give the rundown on his recruits. And he would walk up and the story goes, in only Wally's voice, hey guys, I got this great recruit I'm tracking from Minnesota. He's a nose guard. He plays the cello. He's an A student. He works really hard. He's a great kid. And about 10 minutes into this, and we've all been there, maybe as players, you're like, okay, what's the point, Coach? Nota piped up, Coach, does he actually play golf? So the answer was yes, but just barely. I was a freshman walk-on, and if I broke 75, I had a great day. But I was part of a national championship team that year in 1994. Excuse me. I did get really good at carrying a lot of luggage. Tiger was the guy that looked for me the most, probably. Anyway, Wally again epitomized qualities that I look to today in my teams and I try and emulate. He was a team builder. He believed in us more than anyone. He believed in us more than our parents. He somehow convinced us all that we could play a little bit, and from that grew some really amazing things. I'm also up here because of some great teams that I've had over the years. 13 years has flown by and I feel like I'm just getting going, but I think about all of those great teams that I've been able to coach. 2007 National Championship team, world number ones in Maverick McNeely and Patrick Rogers and David Chung. Just the list goes on and on. Some guys that were attracted to a really amazing university, and I just happened to have the keys to the bus for a while. I am really thankful, though, that this award isn't contingent on your coaching record. One of the highlights of my career was coaching in 2008, the U.S. Palmer Cup team at Glasgow Gales. Listen to this lineup on the U.S. side. Ricky Fowler, Kevin Chappell, Billy Horschel, Michael Thompson, Aaron Goldberg, Adam Mitchell, Derek Fathauer, and just to top it off, Chesson Hadley. We took a trip over to Scotland and got waxed. It was a phenomenal experience, and Greg's laughing in the background. But we had a wonderful time, and to me that was a huge thing and a recognition for me to see those wonderful players doing what they do best, and that's playing amazing golf. I do talk about the players a lot because I also want to recognize guys that don't get enough mention. Guys like Matt Savage, a young guy on my team named Smalls. Literally 5'5" on a good day, was a walk-on the team, and ended up being an All-American that national championship year. Graham Brockington, a guy that was an assistant of mine for a number of years, was also that type of guy. No one in the history of Stanford Golf, we give out year-end awards, has won the most improved player 3 years in a row. But Graham did, figured out a way. But again, this award, I believe, is reflective of those players and those people that have put their passion into our program. I'd fail if I didn't mention all the great assistants that I've had over the years. A couple of them are in the room tonight. Phil Rowe at UNLV, one of the great young dynamic golf coaches I think that we all know, and doing an awesome job for Coach Dwayne Knight, a coaching legend. Ryan Jameson keeps the doors open for us, and he really does all the dirty work, and a phenomenal coach on the rise, and a guy that is just going to make a huge mark in this game. Matt Tite, Sam Purrier, just to name a few, and Graham Brockington as well. I'm so lucky for their help and their support and just their friendship, really. Stanford's a place that drew me as a young student coming from a small town of Minnesota, and it speaks for itself. I'm so proud to represent that brand and what we're all about. A place that appreciates that being a wonderful world-class golfer and a world-class student are not mutually exclusive. We celebrate that there, and that's what I'm into. And I think our guys are, and that's something I'm super proud of. Representing Stanford, and one of the great reports I've ever had, our Senior Associate Athletic Director, Heather Owen, is here with us tonight. She's been great because as a former WNBA player, she's trying to figure out golf, and it's awesome. It's been fun to teach her. Also, a great network of alumni that I'm so appreciative of. One of the great all-time Stanford alumni is here, Sandy McCall, Las Vegas resident and former teammates with Tom Watson. He found out about it and about the Hall of Fame dinner, and he had to be here. So Sandy, thanks for making the trip. That means a lot. I also have to spend a minute just to say thank you to the guy that gave me a chance, my first boss, Ted Leland, who's just retired now as the athletic director, I think president at UOP. He left Stanford after a number of years. Legendary guy, but I always remember one thing that Dr. Leland gave me when he offered me the job. I really had no business, again, just like my spot on the team as a freshman, getting the job as a head coach at Stanford with no coaching experience. I felt like I knew a little bit playing, but I was definitely passionate all things Stanford. The day he offered me the job, he called me in his office and said, "Conrad, I appreciate what we're about to do here. I really don't know anything about golf, and I don't have a lot of money. And by the way, if I call you in my office, I need you to come to me with answers, not questions. And if you can do that, we're going to get along just fine." And so that's all I needed to hear. The rest is history. I have some family here that I would like to recognize and say thank you to. Without these people, it just wouldn't have happened the way it's all gone for me my whole life. My wonderful sister and brother-in-law, Jeff Sloan and Mackenzie Sloan from Decatur, Illinois. We calculated that they are going to be in the air more than they are here in Las Vegas. So I'm the only thing that stands between them and the bar at this stage. So thank you for being here. My mom and dad, man, I don't know where to start. I think as golfers, you appreciate the support of family. It's a tireless deal, and I have 3 little girls at home, and I'm trying to figure out how to be as supportive and as wonderful as my parents have been. There's no negative in our household, and I appreciate that now with young daughters. Not trying to get emotional, but my all-star, my all-American, my wife Jennifer is here with us. It's been great. She put up with me. It's quite funny because when we met, I was playing full-time, and the first year we were married, I was on the road 37 weeks. And so she didn't know any better. I got this coaching gig, and it seemed like gravy. I was only going to be traveling about half of that, but with 3 young girls at home, and all the demands of being a mom and a great role model, she's done wonderful. So thank you, Jennifer, for being there with me. Appreciate that. I want to take, in closing, just wanted to say thank you to the GCAA. This is my last cycle as your past president, so I will be in the gallery, in the peanut gallery, moving forward, but I've really respected and just cherished the opportunity to serve a bunch of guys in this room, the student athletes that we work hard to think about every day. Some great friends on this board. I can tell you, someone said it earlier, in my opinion, college golf has not been stronger ever before. I think we need to capitalize on that, and I think we need to be proud and be super thankful that we're golf coaches. I think that's in the past been something, and you're not a bus driver, coach. That's something that's come up in the past that I think we are in a room know the difference between what we're doing day to day, how passionate we are, and how we're building young men. One of the best golf coaches I know is also here, and I want to take a second to Ann Walker, my counterpart at Stanford. Thank you for being here and all that you do to motivate me. When the girls across the hall are winning national championships, it keeps your attention. So Ann's a wonderful coach, and I'm excited for her, and especially her new role as our first inaugural European Palmer Cup captain. So, but thank you to the GCA. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and as Coach mentioned, I'll keep going. I think I do have big shoes to fill, but I can manage on the pants. I got you covered, 42s all the way. So, thank you very much. Again, congratulations to the inductees that I'm going in with and their families. It's a special honor and one that I'll cherish for a long time. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.